Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. My name is Rachel Salinas. I'm the Director of School Services here at KLRN PBS San Antonio. I am joined by amazing friends and colleagues. I'm going to start with the first on Zoom, Dr. Michelle St. Joubert from St. Philip's College. I'm joined by Rick Varner of the Scobie Education Center. I'm joined by Ryan Beltran of News Water. And I'm joined by Juan Garcia of Disco Learning Media. And we are so glad that you're here with us this evening. So tonight we're going to talk about education resources that can be used by anyone. You may have seen that there is, and this is called an educator session, which is absolutely for educators, but it is also for you, even if you are someone who is enthusiastic about education, but not technically an educator. You're more than welcome, and we're so glad that you're here. So please feel free to ask whatever questions you might have in the chat. If you haven't had the chance to do so yet, if you would like to rename yourself, especially if the name comes up incorrectly. So thank you so much. We appreciate you. Let's get started. A quick thank you to our wonderful partners and sponsors who made this event possible and to provide these sessions to the community free of charge due to generosity. So we'll go ahead and get started talking about Watt Watchers. And here's a little bit about what we're going to do this evening. So at the end of the evening session, once the recording is available, you'll be receiving a copy of the recording to have for your record. You'll be receiving a copy of the slides. And then once the recording is made available, you'll be able to view that. We'll send you a YouTube link that should take a few days. And then within about a space of a week, you'll be receiving your certificate. So in today's session, we're going to be learning about Watt Watchers and some really amazing STEM and STEAM-focused educational initiatives right here in our community. With Watt Watchers in particular, you're going to have access to free TEKS-aligned educational resources in both English and Spanish. This is for kindergarten through 12th grade. And you can also find on Watt Watchers tips and strategies for how to be an energy saver at school and at home. We'll briefly discuss the Student Patrol Program, which is a long-running program. This program has actually been around since 1985. It's pretty incredible. And we'll talk about how we can utilize the Student Patrol Program to involve the school in developing energy-saving habits to help save money for the whole school. So all of those wonderful, but seems like something small because it's easy, things that we can do, like turning off a light when we leave a room, or making sure that if we see a leaky faucet, that we go about letting administrators know we're not wasting water, turning off the water when we're brushing our teeth. Those little things really add up to make a big difference and to help us save money for our whole school. If you are interested in receiving 2 hours of continuing education credit, you can go ahead and please just indicate that on the post survey, which we sent in a link at the end of the presentation. And we just thank you so much for being here. So again, if you wouldn't mind just going ahead and putting your first and last name in the chat, if you're able to do so, that helps us out so much. And when you complete the post survey after the evening session, within about a week, you'll get a certificate indicating the 2 hours of continuing education credit. So I wanted to share this quote. This is actually from the KLRN Your Future Career Day video from 2023. We're delighted to collaborate in so many ways with Dr. St. Joubert on this project. I'm just going to read this. With education, collaboration, and innovation, together we can inspire a more resourceful world. I'm so sorry. So really important words to live by. Here's a great resource, Smart Energy Education. This is kind of an umbrella of a website, if you will, that contains Watt Watchers within it, along with some other really fantastic programs. Without further ado, let's take a look at the See Your Future Career Day video.
The expression.
I'm so sorry, let me try that again.
The expression of all the kids whenever they came to our table, what was drawing them to our table was us demonstrating how to blow up a small voltage capacitor. A lot of their questions were like, well, why does that happen? How can you stop it? It's really cool to see the curiosity in kids at a very young age, something that I wish that I was able to experience growing up a career day event such as this, because I think it would have sparked my interest in engineering a little bit early on.
We're also seeing a massive amount of change in the industry. Things are becoming more automated, and we need people who can run those IT systems or those technical systems, people who can work on robotics, people who can fly drones, people who can do all kinds of things in the future that just don't exist today.
Events like this are really important because technology is constantly changing and we just always want to make improvements in society. The future starts with our youth, and we want to make sure that they're able to generate new ideas.
I wish I would have had that opportunity to have some way of realizing what do people do when they're in engineering, and which companies are hiring those kinds of skill sets.
There's jobs outside of STEM, of course, but STEM, when you look at jobs, there's so much to do in it. In fact, I was talking with park rangers just today, and there's even STEM art opportunities inside a national park. Who would have thought about that?
Careers in STEM is so important in so many facets. Studies have shown if you have studied STEM, your earning potential is exponentially larger.
The average wage for an energy career right now is near to $85,000 to $95,000, and so there's just a really healthy opportunity for families to earn living wages in energy careers.
Even if you don't do STEM, the fact that you study STEM, you still make more.
So excited to see a lot of little girls be very interested in circuit designing, and they already had knowledge on programming, and I was so surprised to see that and really excited.
Best place to start is to recruit young people who are interested in technology and get them started on a career toward energy.
Career events like this are really important for people of all ages to engage in so that they can explore their interests. Even I was able to make connections with people in the energy field, and I was exposed to an internship opportunity, so that's just really exciting.
So glad to have the opportunity to share that with you all. And as you saw, the amazing Dr. Singsberg was also part of that video. So thank you so much. So first off, as we're taking a look at what Watt Watchers is, this program has had some real staying power. It's been around since 1985. Obviously, it wasn't available online at the time. But Watt Watchers, it's an energy efficiency program, and it's designed to help schools and families save energy and save money. So it has a really great benefit to both helping the environment and helping us to save money and to be less wasteful. While the original program focused primarily on student patrol groups assigned to areas of the school, and they would check for energy waste throughout the building, such as lights being left on in a classroom when nobody was in there. In 2018, Watt Watchers was relaunched as an updated version. So it builds upon those patrol program skills and then adds related materials. So I really encourage you to check it out. It is linked right here in the presentation. You will be receiving a copy of the presentation this evening in a PDF format. So you'll be having that sent to you via email this evening. And then as soon as the video portion is available, you'll be receiving that as well. So Watt Watchers resources can also be found at the Smart Energy Education website, which is linked right here. And these provide the materials to launch and maintain a robust experience at your campus or district. So without further ado, I'm delighted to introduce you to our partner and friend, Mr. Juan Garcia, President of Disco Learning Media. Welcome.
Hi, Rachel, can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Fantastic. Well, thank you to you, to KLRN for hosting, and of course, thank you to all of you for joining us. We're excited to have you and excited to tell you more about the Watt Watchers program, about smart energy education, and how you all and your students and your communities can really help on the energy saving and conservation side. You know, as Rachel said earlier, we need everyone's help in order to create a more resourceful world. And today's students are tomorrow's innovators, right? And so together, I think we can do that. So listen, I have a little bit of a homework assignment for you all. And I know usually it's the teachers that are assigning the homework, but after today's session, I know Rachel is going to follow up with all of you, and she is going to share a survey. And in that survey, I'd like you to share any feedback with us about what you think after you see today's session, after you learn more about the program, what you'd like to see. You know, are there activities or other lessons or programs that you think that are out there that you really enjoy using in your classroom? Well, we'd love to hear from you, because we're always trying to make the Watt Watchers program and the Smart Energy Education program as beneficial as possible to our educators. And so we really do take your feedback into account. We really listen to you, and we try to improve the program every single year to make it the absolute best that it can be. So with your help, we can absolutely achieve that. So Rachel, thank you again for having me here, and look forward to hearing from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Juan. We appreciate you. So asking the main question, right? Who can participate in Watt Watchers? Everybody. It is a fantastic program. Students, teachers, and families can take advantage of numerous activities on the Watt Watchers Practice website to learn more about energy, have fun, and save money. So the question sometimes comes up as we're looking at presenting this to schools, well, why should administrators and staff work to save energy? Well, as you know, from working in a school, right, you can reduce your school's energy costs, and in turn increase the dollars available in school district's budget. When you have more available in school district's budget, then you get to use it on things that you might prefer to spend money on instead of wasted energy costs, right? Such as field trips, great ways to be able to utilize budget, right? Energy efficiency is everyone's responsibility. So this is where students should be involved. School is a significant part of the student's world, and students are oftentimes the first ones who are going to notice a problem. Initially, when I first started learning about this great program, one of the things that got brought up is like, students are going to notice that they're moving through the building, different things that are, you know, affecting the environment where they are every day. They might notice if there's a light flickering, or if there's water leaking from the sink faucet, right? So that's going to help us to be able to identify these problems earlier, so that, for example, that leaky faucet isn't continuing to leak and waste water, right? So maintenance can be called in to fix that more efficiently, more quickly, right? And that's just one example. Here's a little bit more about the Student Patrol program. I want to share this with you. This is just really outstanding. So this is the original program that's been around since the beginning. I have to share with you these adorable characters are geared toward our younger learners. This is Lil Tex and Anne. Now, I myself am not a native Texan, but I can appreciate this very much. Here they are. They're the heroes of the story. And basically, what we're doing is saying, okay, you're interested in it, so you've already taken the first step. So thank you for that. You can start by accessing any of the free content on this website. We do encourage you to sign up for an account, and again, that's totally free. It just helps us to know what are the resources that are being utilized most, what are people enjoying the most. So you want to access the free content and learn a little bit more about what you can find on this website. And then as you're looking at the Student Patrol program, you can get support from the administration, the rest of the teachers and staff members. There's some of the benefits linked here and here. And so this is talking a little bit more about who the sponsors of the program are. This is a long-running, well-established program. What it is, talking about, okay, here's like a script that you can use to share about what the program is, when it's founded, where are we now, and to the entire team who put together Watt Watchers to their credit, there's an at-home section as well, which is incredibly useful. to have as an additional resource, excuse me, a set of resources to have as part of the activities that could be used very easily at home, especially when we're in the very worst part of COVID. Frequently asked questions behind the scenes about the State Energy Conservation Office and who the advisory board is. You can find out more here. You want to develop some procedures for your building. So when, where, and how often will there be a Watt Watchers patrol? So one of the ways that you might consider looking at this would be something along the lines of an after-school club. So there might be something like robotics club, or there might be something like art club, anything. You can use your imagination. I know at your school you must have many clubs, and this is another wonderful club to be able to offer. This is helping our kiddos to be energy savers and be careful with our environment. So as we're getting support from the administration, teachers, and staff, you can use a sample letter to share with them. It's available to you right here. It's also available as a PDF for printing. Really, really helpful. You want to develop procedures for your building. So this might look like something if it were an after-school program in the way that you're utilizing it. You could possibly say, okay, I've got my group of, let's say, 10 kiddos who are part of the student patrol program. Everybody in the school has to be on board for this. We're letting you know that this is something that teachers, staff, everybody would say, okay, we're on board for this. And then what the next step is to know, okay, we're going to go down the hallways during times when there's not, going to be class going on. We're going to check the empty rooms to see, are the lights turned off? Are the devices turned off? And just to check for that, right? So if we're noticing that the lights are left on and no one's in the room, leave a little ticket that says, hey, please remember to turn off the lights or to turn off your devices, right? Depending on what's on. And if we are noticing that the classroom is with the lights off, the device is off, and no one's in there, we leave a little thank you note that says, thank you for helping us to save energy. So it kind of helps us to stay accountable. And as we know, kids can be very good about pointing out sometimes, and to the credit, if there's a mistake or if they notice an error in something, right? Well, this is another way that they can use that skill to be helpful, because this is ultimately going to save the school a lot of energy, a lot of money, and it's also going to help the environment. So can't beat that. Also totally free to implement. Thank you so much. I do want to mention, Rick just put in the chat. So I shared my link just to make sure that everybody could log in appropriately or correctly. And I found out something new about Zoom, that when you do that, everybody shows up with your name. So I have a lot of Rachel Polius joining me this evening. I know that's not your name, so if you could please go ahead and just click on those 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner to change your name if you're available to do so. If you're joining us by phone and you have the capability to do so at the moment, if you could please just go ahead and put your first and last name in the chat, then we'll be able to help you in that way as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I'm sorry about that. So those are how we can develop some procedures for the building for the student patrol program. And then you want to prepare your patrol materials. What is that going to look like? Are you going to have a grid? There are certain ones that you can use that are templates right here, quick and easy to use, as well as a teacher training, a glossary of terms. Here's an example of one way that you could use the patrol record. And so we're seeing a check, lights on or in use, a circle, no energy in use. Excuse me, an X is energy in use, but there's no people. And they'll have time codes of before school, AM recess, first lunch, second lunch, PM recess, after school. So you can absolutely modify that to reflect whatever time of day you would be doing the student patrol program. And then it has whatever room it was, the time of day it was, and the day of the week. So it's really, really helpful and just a fantastic resource. I highly recommend it. That's a little bit about the student patrol program. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can absolutely reach out to me anytime. Also, there's another fantastic opportunity about an ambassadorship. So if you're interested in learning more about that, we can include information on the ambassadorship program. So here is a great video from Pflugerville ISD showing what the student patrol program looks like in action.
The first room, we'll go down to EDP, Miss Norris and Miss Roach.
The point of Vault Watchers is to conserve energy and resources to save money.
Electricity costs a lot, and so we're trying to save on that.
What we do is make sure all the lights are off, and if not, then we'd give them a ticket.
You will walk around a hallway or a part of the school with a clipboard and a basket, and you will peek through the window of the door.
And lights are in use. Okay.
X means there's lights on, but there's no one in there.
We are putting in a VAD card, so next time they come in, they'll remember to turn off the lights.
I think teachers feel like maybe it might not be their fault.
They must feel like, I need to do better next time.
But they might just tell the class and give them a reminder that we left the light on and we're trying to save money, so next time, guys, just turn the light off when you leave the classroom.
Since I started, I've noticed a huge change.
There's been a lot of teachers turning off their lights now. I haven't seen a lot of X's this year.
Because they noticed that they might have been getting cards more often last year, and they're trying to be maybe more responsible.
I feel good because I mean, that means they're actually paying attention in the first place.
It's kind of a habit for me now. Like when I go into rooms and go out of rooms, it's kind of habitful because I usually, I'm always having my hand out turning off the lights.
1, 2, 3, Vault Watchers!
So I have to love that because that's how they're really paying attention. Maybe you shared with us that there are a lot of ways that we can all make improvements. And the kiddos, they had a really great attitude about taking responsibility for the energy usage in their program. So here's another example of how we can get involved in the program. Shirts printed to help build team spirit. That's another way to do that as well. So we want to say thank you again for being here. That's a little bit about the Student Fulfill program. So in this session, we're going to discuss STEM and Earth-Day teaching resources with, of course, Vault Watchers and our friends at St. Philip's College and Sylvia Education Center and lakewater.org. We're going to go ahead and get started on the next leg of learning about the Vault Watchers program here. And we're going to learn how we can help the environment while saving life. These resources are teach the line, so no need to reinvent the wheel. My awesome teacher friends here, everything's laid out for you. We're going to take a look at these incredible activities and resources, which is so helpful. There are resources in English and Spanish for kindergarten all the way through 12th grade, and tips and strategies for how to be an energy saver at school and at home. And here's where you can learn more on the Smart Energy Education website, which hosts a lot of different programs, including Vault Watchers. So we'll learn about the Water Energy Nexus on this website, Watt Watchers, Resourcefulness, and even Energy 101. So I encourage you to check that out. You'll be receiving a copy of the slides with all of the links in them right after the evening session. So the characters, I know we took a brief look at them a little bit before. Little Tex and Anne are the Watt Watchers. They're the heroes of our story. They live by the motto, Texas is too good for waste. They love Texas and are dedicated to conserving her resources. Little Tex is brash and quick to action, while Anne is more reserved and prefers to think things through and make a plan. Tex and Anne are targeted toward younger students, as are the Wasters gang. These are the bad guys. Anytime you see a light left on in an empty room or water running from an unused faucet or recyclables in the trash, ooh, that one gets me. You know, the Wasters gang is nearby. They're entropy personified, maybe not evil per se. They simply don't care about anything but themselves. So like any good comic book villain, they can be defeated but never eliminated, and they'll always come back in the future. So Vault Watchers offers teach the line activities in both English and Spanish for elementary, middle, and high school students, focused on these 6 modern energy topics. And what was fascinating to me as I started to learn more about this, when I came on board at KLRN about 3.5 years ago, we've got the wonderful opportunity to start to learn about how all of these topics are really interconnected. It's really fascinating. So there are topics of electricity, water, materials, cooling and heating, transportation, and food. And in particular, food is really very much connected to all of these. So let's take a look. We have each one of the topics linked here. There you can find all of them on wattwatchers.com. And just really in a nutshell, saving electricity is one of the easiest and most obvious energy conservation methods to be implemented in an energy efficiency program and curriculum. These activities in the electricity theme encourage students to learn about the items that are around them that use the most energy and how to best eliminate overconsumption. So as you're looking through this, you may notice some things that you may have heard growing up, right? I grew up in Southern California. We didn't have AC in our house for a long time now. Thankfully, the California weather had some goodness to add to that. But outside of that too, we were real careful about turning off the lights. I remember, when we had ceiling fans, when we would have the doors open or the windows open, those were off. The ceiling fans were off. So just simple little things that you can do, maybe time-tested sort of strategies that remind us, okay, if I'm chilly, can I grab a blanket or a sweater? Yeah. Or is it like really, really cold where I need to turn on the heat? And if it is, okay, I'm going to turn on the heat. Things like that. If I'm a little toasty, can I turn on the fan instead of turning on the air conditioner? Things like that. So here are some great resources here. Watt Watchers Bingo, a scavenger hunt, the Pay Me game, that one's an interesting one. Lots of different resources right there. Now, let's take a closer look at this one right here. Okay, so it's asking us to log in. So I want to let you know that as you're looking at these resources, you'll need to log in to learn more about them. So it's just going to ask you to register, and when you register, it asks you very simple questions, kind of similar to PBS Learning Media. If you're already familiar with PBS Learning Media, where it can ask your first and last name, password, and I believe it is the zip code where you're joining from or the state that you're joining from. So very straightforward. It's not going to ask you any personal information. There's no cost associated with it, but it's just helping us to keep track of, our teachers using the program, our families using the program. What area of the world is getting the most, from which area of the world is Watt Watchers getting the most attention, things like that. So I do encourage you to check that out. And you can see at the bottom of each of the resources, and I'm sorry because I'm not currently logged in at the moment, but you can see the cheeks are labeled there right at the bottom for you, so no need to reinvent the wheel. Everything's already done and it's completely free. So very much encourage you to check that out. We have the Watt Watchers activity theme of water. Because water is a limited resource, but also one that can be used for a variety of life necessities, including cooking, cleaning, bathing, and of course drinking water. The activities included here help teach our students about the importance of water for all life on Earth and why it is critical to implement conservation efforts to save this most valuable resource. And I love that that was the description that they used, the most valuable resource. Just be very careful with not only how we're using water, but also what might be going into it. So there's some really neat activities here. Here's one of our one of the favorites, I would say, that we've used over time is controlling water with building blocks. And with this one right here, what we're doing, there's a variety of different ways you can use this. I do want to encourage you, if you're joining us from Texas or anywhere where it's really warm outside right now, do this one outside. It is a lot of fun, but because we're using water, it's gonna get wet. So great way to get some fresh air and get some outside time. Essentially what you're doing is if you're using the base plate of building blocks, such as Lego, for example, and you can stack them together to create the bricks in a pattern and to see how the water moves through that. And then how we can stop water to create a dam. What would happen if we sprinkled, let's say, dirt or even something for a visual cue, maybe something like cinnamon where you can see it, right? how if we sprinkle it on the side here, but the water splashes up, how is that going to affect the rest of the water? So it's really, really a great way of explaining things like how we control water, with like the use of for example, and how also as we're using the water, excuse me, as we're doing this activity, how we need to be very careful about how clean we're keeping the earth and not littering. Any questions so far, friends? Please feel free to ask in the chat if you've got any questions. We're always glad to chat with you. So now we also have the activity theme of material. And I want to share with y'all that today we actually met with a group at a local preschool, and they really enjoyed it. We had a great time working with them. And we were talking about how we can use materials in a way that reuses them, that turns them into something brand new, right? My mom was awesome at this when I was growing up, and there's a really fantastic activity here, excuse me, called junk art or arte chatarra. So you can look at something like a water bottle, right? And say, what could I do with this? Could I turn this into a sensory bottle? I have one of the things that we did actually was we had an old box and we just tore it apart to make sort of a flat surface, and we we taped cardboard tubes onto it to create a maze. And then the kiddos were like, oh, you know what? I can add my toy car to this and I can make it go through the tubes. And what happens if I connect these tubes in this way? So really it opened it up to a way of using really what was essentially just old paper towel rolls that were out of paper towels and a box and some masking tape. And they had a blast. So I really want to encourage you to check these out. It's called Junk Art or Arte Chatarra. And you can see more of that right here in this section. It also talks about the importance of knowing what to recycle and where it can be recycled, the importance of not wasting food, how many years will different items take to biodegrade or to disappear. Really fascinating stuff. So again, you'll need to log in to see the resources, but there is no cost for logging in. It's absolutely free, and we encourage you to set up an account with you. Any questions? Please don't be shy to reach out in the chat setting. Now we've got cooling and heating. So something that's very important, especially here in Texas. Kids and adults, you don't need to understand the particular process behind heating and cooling of homes, schools, and other buildings to know that there is a need for reductions in energy consumption from air conditioners and heaters. These activities in this section will allow the students to learn more about best practices when using their AC heaters. So let's take a closer look at this. So it's letting me know that, okay, we want you to log in. But here's where you can learn more about cooling and heating activities and all of the different activities here. And as I'm sure you noticed as we were looking through the different pages, there are several pages within each activity. And I do want to share with you, sorry, I do want to share with you after we're done taking a look at this particular resource, what the website looks like in general. Okay, so we'll take a quick scoot through that, and I want to be mindful of your time as we also have some amazing speakers as well. So let's take a look at the Watt Watchers activity theme of food. We all need food to keep our bodies running and healthy, but there's far more to food than simple eating. From learning about the agricultural industry and transportation of goods to non-recyclable food containers and FDA requirements for food labels, these activities and lessons show students where their food comes from and where food waste goes when they're done with it. So this speaks to the importance of a lot of things. As we're talking about food waste, how does that break down? How does that add to our landfills? Why is it, what are the reasons? Because there are many for avoiding wasting food. We don't want to produce something and think about all the energy that goes into that, and not just the energy of fuel, but also people working hard to grow that food and harvest that food. Is very, very, very difficult for it to wind up being wasted, right? So there's an ethical part to that as well. So let's take a closer look at the topic of food. Now, this is near and dear to my heart because I love to cook. And this also teaches us ways to be resourceful, right? Like, how many times have you gone through your fridge and seen, oh, I didn't eat that, but I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna like cut this up and put it into a salad, whatever it is, or I'm gonna make a pasta with this, right? And you get really creative, and then you wind up coming up with this great new recipe, and it's like, well, wow, I wouldn't have thought of that had I not had it in the fridge and needed to use the leftover before it went bad. There's a lot of wisdom in that, and you'll see some of that in this activity theme of food. So making banana bread. I know a lot of us, especially at the beginning part of COVID, developed some really good banana bread recipes. I have to give a shout out to my neighbor who is awesome, and she made us banana bread with tiny chocolate chips in it, which I hadn't had before. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So now I have a new recipe. You can make jam with fruit that's about to go bad. If not talking about things that have gone bad, but maybe something that doesn't look appealing to eat anymore, right? Of fresh anymore at this point, like blueberries. To get them and they're still good, but they're looking a little bit wrinkly and maybe not like something that you'd want to just eat fresh or in a fruit salad. You can boil them down with a tiny little bit of sugar and some lemon juice, and you can make a really delicious jam that you can keep in the fridge. You can pickle your food. You can dehydrate your food. And then this one is my absolute favorite. At-home master chef. We came up with a recipe that we really enjoyed using. Well, this has actually happened on a few different occasions, but the one I always like to reference because it came out so good was sweet potato, spinach, and lentils. We had different containers of that were just available in the fridge, and so we put them all together with some spices, and that was really tasty. That was a tasty soup. So I encourage you to try that. It really calls upon your creativity, and you feel good knowing that these things are going to wait. Another topic here is ugly produce. You may be familiar with the theme of imperfect produce, also known as ugly produce. And that's when we're thinking about vegetables that might look kind of like this, right? They're not the, what would we say, idealized image of what we would have in mind, right? Like a strawberry looking a certain way, or a carrot looking a certain way, or any other, like an apple looking a certain way, right? I know more times than I should. I've fumbled the bag of tomatoes when I've gotten home and go, okay, well, that's not going to look really great to be sliced. But is that something that I can cut up and put into pasta? Absolutely. Can I put it into a salad? Absolutely, right? So it's just getting us to kind of think outside of the box with that and to make sure that we're not wasting. It also talks about food deserts, which is a really, really, really important topic to be able to discuss, talking about what that is, why it's important to address, and how we can help those who are living in food deserts. Food container waste, that's another really important topic. Talking also about reusing our containers whenever possible. Talking about what's in our lunch, and then of course, really trying to garden. Friends, I will be the first to admit to you that it's not my strong skill, but I'm gonna learn. And I've got great friends who are teaching me how. So with that in mind, I think if I can do it, I know you can absolutely do it. So please do check this out. It was wonderful. There are some more topics here that I would love to share with you. Power Trip, the Story of Energy, has a webpage on KLRN. This was authored by energy expert Dr. Michael Weber, who is also the host of the PBS series Power Trip. We'll see some of the Power Trip video clips and examples of how we can align them with Watt Watchers activities. So I want to show you the page really quickly. Here's where you'll find a little bit more of that along with clips and previews. There's also there's also a series of short videos talking about hidden heroes of the energy sector and how folks from different areas of fields of study have contributed in the energy sector. So I know that there's one lady in particular who is sharing her story of how she had traveled the globe and was really interested in learning about different cultures and languages and how she put those skills to use in the energy sector. So it speaks to the importance of STEM education and being able to welcome a lot of different ways of thinking, a lot of different intelligences into that field. taking a look at Watt Watchers again, I just wanted to take a quick peek at the page with you so you can kind of see what you're looking for. I want to let you know the entire website, which is awesome. The entire website is available in either English or Spanish, and this will bring you to the entire page, all of the resources in either Spanish or English. It will talk about the About section, the student patrol, activities, a little bit of everything. Hi, friends. Thank you so much for sharing your ideas in the chat. If you have any questions, please do let me know. Here's where you can find the activity themes, and I want to share with you how you can narrow it down to. Now, this is a great website. There are going to be some adjustments made on it throughout its time. So just as we're looking at it, there may be some changes that you see between what we're going over today and what you might find in the future, because they're constantly making this just amazing. And you can learn more about it here. As you can see, you can narrow it down by theme or grade level, although you don't have to. So if you're looking for something in particular, you can find it there. Also want to share with you on the next page, here is just a list of recommended Watt Watchers activities to align with our trip short video clip. So for example, we were talking about ugly produce, right? If I may, as I talk fast, I'm from LA, that never lacking. Yeah, just I talk fast. So if I'm talking too fast, please tell me if I need to slow down. I'm absolutely happy to do so, and you're not hurting my feelings. This is a video clip called the 5,000 Miles Salad. So if I may, I'm going to share that with you now. And I think you're going to have like this a lot. I'm sorry, right after the ad.
If we go back a couple hundred years, before we had all the energy available to put into our food system, hunger was much more common. They didn't have as much food, and they didn't always know where the next meal would come from. They also often would have to grow their own food. They'd have to be part of the process of gardening or farming to get the food.
For most of our agricultural past, people were immediately tied to food from the moment they were born. Farming was just part of how we lived. And today, less than 2% of Americans live on farms. We are more removed from agriculture than ever before.
Hi, how are you doing? Good, I'm ready for lunch. Because of the modern energy system, we can have things like this 5,000-mile salad, where the different parts of it came together from around the world, all for my convenience and taste. We grew the food using fertilizers made from natural gas. We harvested it with machines using diesel, and we ship it or truck it to a central facility for processing and chopping and wrapping it in plastic made from fossil fuels. Refrigerate it with electricity, maybe made from coal or maybe solar power or something like that. So there's all these different forms of energy that come into the salad to bring it here together at this time, just so I have a nice, healthy lunch.
Isn't that great? I love that you can see the entire interconnectedness of all of it through the example of the salad. So without further ado, I want to share with you that there are some helpful resources here. They're going to be linked right in the slides. Please feel free, friends, as you're looking through the slides. If you're like, oh, this is great, I'd like to share it with a colleague or a friend, please feel free to do so. We're more than happy to share these resources with you. And everything's going to be bookmarked here. So we have Watt Watchers of Texas, Power Trip, the Story of Energy, Smart Energy Education with a little reminder that Watt Watchers is also part of this website, PBS Learning Media, and the KLRN events page. And absolutely everything that you see here is accessible for free. If you're asked to log in, it's just to be able to save and share and then learn more about you. But see, there's no cost at all for joining this website. So here again, it's Power Up the Story of Energy. Take a look at Smart Energy Education. And without further ado, I would like to introduce you to our friend and colleague, Mr. Ryan Beltran of MakeWater.org. Welcome, Ryan.
Hello, how's it going? Thanks for having me. Can y'all hear me okay? Yeah, all right. So my name is Ryan Beltran. I am the executive director of a nonprofit, makewater.org, where we actually challenge students and educators to be citizen scientists with some DIY hands-on experiments. Do I have access to, let's see, sharing my screen?
Absolutely. Sorry about that. Let me go ahead and make sure that I stop sharing.
No, it's quite all right.
There we go.
Let's see, share screen, share. Okay. Okay. Everybody can see that? Okay. So yeah, so Make Water started, let's see, I'm just moving this around to see what screen I want to be on. So Make Water started years ago with this idea revolving around a simple process of purifying water through electricity. So this is very much a part of like the energy water nexus that Watchers actually gets into, and the thirst for power as well. So we actually have this experiment, and you can see it here, that it runs a small current of electricity through the water and it separates it. And just like me, like years ago, I found out about this and I thought it was really neat, and I just wanted to tinker with it, and it got all these questions going. And so years later, I met, San Antonio Water Systems education coordinator, and they were like, what you're doing is really great. You're teaching yourself and you're tinkering, and we would love, that's a great way to engage with students. And so that's where sort of Make Water was born. We actually started this with some coatable kits that looked like this in a mason jar, where all the components would actually come in the mason jar. These are coatable kits, so we would actually teach a little bit about coding, a little bit about circuitry, 3D printing, 3D print design. We pretty much would work on these kits with the students and kind of found where their passion was, to align their passion to see how they could apply their passion to helping this sort of progress this innovation or tinker with it in one way or another. So we actually, this last year, or when COVID hit, we actually we're not able to work as well with students with these coatable kits. So we designed these kits that could fit in an envelope. It is a much simpler way of running this process. It has a little tiny coin battery, and you can see here in this animated GIF that it, over about 15 minutes, it separates the water, or the quote unquote pollutants from the water. It coagulates them and makes them much easier to filter out. And when we do this experiment, we usually just use paint, maybe a little bit of salt to add conductivity to the water. So after COVID, we went into these kits, but then we also partnered with Blooming with Birdie, who's an amazing local Montessori educator, and she helped us make lesson plans for this, digital lesson plans and guides that you see here. So y'all are kind of early on us launching these kits. We spent a lot of last year just restructuring how these kits are put together, how students turn in the data, and how educators can deploy this lesson as simply as possible, like hands off. Like you can either be really involved, or you can kind of let the students follow these digital lesson guides, kind of like what Watchers has. And these have videos that we've made. And I actually have a filmmaker background, so we did we put a lot of thought and production value into these. I'll give you just a little clip of that. Can y'all hear that okay? Can you say in the chat if you can hear it? Can't see anybody.
Friends, my name is Birdie, and it's so nice to meet you. Today, we are all going to become heroes. What? Yes, heroes. Make water heroes, to be exact. Hey, no, we don't need masks or capes to be a make water hero. We can all be make water heroes by becoming citizen scientists. Do you know what a citizen scientist is? Citizen scientist is you, me, or maybe even your mom or your uncle.
So we made these really, we have two different versions. We have an elementary version, which is a little more like playful and easy to, like she's really great at talking directly to that age range. And then we also did middle high school, which kind of brings it up a notch, but it uses the same kit, which is really cool. And also, if anybody here is interested, thanks to CBS Energy, Itron, and Disco, we have some kits to be able to give out to y'all. Just you can write me a message on chat or reply in the email. I'll actually put my email right here if y'all want to send me an email about that. And we actually have a challenge going on right now because we wanted to get these kits out. We have a lot of sponsored kits that we want to get out also nationally. On a national level, we have more kits. So we had a story that, or a challenge where we challenge y'all to tell a water story in one way or another. And we made a video about that, that I will show maybe a little clip of it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the World Water Day Challenge put on by MakeWater.org. So World Water Day is a day to celebrate water and actually take a moment to think about it when you may take it for granted. We're going to challenge you to tell your water story, and you can actually compete for some cool prizes. We're going to be giving away hundreds of water purification kits for the classroom or at home. We're going to be giving away a 3D printer to one lucky winner. And then our grand prize is actually us filming a short film about your story. You can share a water story that's as small or as large in scope as you can imagine. So your story can be anything. It can be a photo, it can be a video, it could be a song. So an example of a story is right behind me is a flood outlet here in San Antonio. This outlet is 3 miles long, and it can have up to 3 million gallons of water per minute run through it to divert floodwaters from downtown. That's a quick story. So I actually started the nonprofit Make Water because of storytelling, because of the story that I wanted to be a part of. And now you can be a part of that story. So what are you waiting for? Tell us your story, including the hashtag MakeWaterStory, and join us in celebrating World Water Day. So Rachel, thank you for saying that the kits can be offered through the survey. So there you go. Thank you for that. And then with that, I just sort of wanted to say thank you all for your time. If you have more questions about this kit and our program, feel free to reach out. We have our codable kits that are going to be coming back soon. So thank you all very much for having me, and I'm here if you all have any questions. You can reach out via email or in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ryan, and thank you for sharing about the Make Water Day story. That is incredible as well. It's really an outstanding fit and initiative, so we hope that you'll join us. Thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen again. Thank you so much, Ryan. So glad to hear. And now I have the great pleasure to introduce you to our friend and colleague, Dr. Marie Michelle Saint-Hubert, Associate Professor of Engineering and Mathematics at King's College, and Interim Director of the Center of Excellence for Math, PI, Project SURE. Welcome, Dr. Saint-Hubert, and I know you've got some excellent slides to share with us also, so I'm going to go ahead and
I do. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you.
And let me just get situated. It's so nice to see you again and to be here with everyone today. It is a pleasure to present to you. Hopefully you can see my screen. Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I am Dr. Marie-Michelle Saint-Hubert. I go by Mishu. I'm Associate Professor of Engineering at St. Philip's College in the Department of Engineering and Mathematics. I'm the Interim Director for the Center of Excellence for Mathematics, and I'm also a PI, primary Principal Investigator for Project SURE, which is an NSF grant, a 4-year grant. It's an HBCU up for helping students in STEM succeed and transfer in STEM. It's 1.25 million, I almost said billion, but $1 million grants. So if you allow me to begin. So I just want to say a little bit about the center. We really want to just aim to increase student enrollment, engagement, and success in STEM. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And we do that by creating these innovative partnerships, such as with KLRN, local school districts, regional higher education institutions, and businesses and industry. And the hope is for us that it will result in a more extensive, diverse, and well-developed STEM force. We know that we have to have a really good STEM force, students that are able to have critical thinking skills and have other technical skills for us to have a future, all of us to have a future. So we do that by encouraging our students with positive messaging. Yes, you can. Let them know their earning potential. One of the things that was said in the video is some technicians start at $90,000 straight coming out of with an associate's, particularly here at St. Philip's College and other educational programs. And we want to provide an environment to dare to dream differently, and by fostering, inspiring leadership, personal growth, and a lifelong appreciation for learning. So I just wanted to take some time to talk about our signature events and what those participants get to be a part of. So one of our signatures is Women Breaking Through STEM Conference. Last year we had a virtual, we just had it a couple of weeks ago, and I was trying to get the pictures from that, but I was not able to do so. But even though it was virtual, they were able to learn about CAD, which is computer-aided design, and also CAM, computer-aided manufacturing. So we use Tinkercad, which is available through Autodesk, to make an item, a 3D item. I use virtual and augmented reality called MergeQ. They learned how to magically put it inside. And this is an actual video of what it looks like when it's inside this MergeQ. So you see the star moving, it is because they are moving this cube. And Miss Rachel, you have seen this in action. I know it doesn't translate well, but it is bananas. Would you say?
It is awesome.
It is awesome.
You generously gave one to each of the students, including my own kiddo, and they love it. It's awesome.
It's awesome. It is awesome. It is an awesome tool. So we were able to do that. And you may ask, well, how did you get the cubes if it was virtual? There is a template, a free template that's available. So they just made their template. It works just as well. And they were able to partake and learn how to do this in our conference. We have another signature program, which is a summer enrichment program. It's called MESA, Motivating and Engaging with STEM Activities. Now, since I became the interim director, my background is engineering. My undergraduate is electrical engineering. My PhD is in biomedical engineering. And I'm a former graduate of SAC with an applied science degree where I started in industry in engineering, computer engineering technology. I'm all about engineering. My kids hate it, but that's who I am, right? I am whose I am. And so I wanted to shift things a little bit to have our students, because studies show students lose their math and their learning when they're on summer vacation. And so I wanted to have the students assessed using EdReady, and it assesses their students' math skills and allows them to improve at their own pace to subject mastery. Then they that in that way, they can strengthen their math skills and are better prepared before returning to school in the upcoming year. And one of the things is I bridge it with engineering. I use Parallax robots. This is, I think it is the 360, and this one navigates, and they learn how to program. In this case, in MESA, they're learning to program in C. So I know that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and please forgive me. These are the students that we had this year. They get to go on a field trip, and this was we have 2 campuses at St. Philip's College. And so we were at Southwest Campus, and we have a fabulous nursing simulated center, and the students got to visit that center. This is one of a kind. We're one of the few that have a patient simulator. It does everything. It talks, it breathes, you can take its pulse. It does everything. And the students got to learn about the sensors and about the math and put it together with the real life experiences. And so this is one of the things on here that the students got to program on their own, and they just had a great time. It was really, really nice. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask me. I resurrected Miss Cipher this year. We had 19 students, and they got to see, I forgot to say that program was 2 weeks. And it's totally free. Everything I do is free. I like to say free 99. So with Miss Cipher, we had all girls, and they got to learn 4 different types of robots. From the Ozobot, which is very simple, elementary, basic, to the co-drone. So they got to do their drones, and you see that video right there. You can see how excited, even the parents were excited to see the girls programmed it on their own to go through that hoop. And we had the Scribbler 3, which again, they learned how to use broccoli prop. All of these use the same language, broccoli, but these 2 use in particular to Parallax broccoli prop. And they had a fabulous time. They actually did. You can see their excitement. And I just wanted to give you a sense of, we're here at St. Philip's College, we have all of these STEM programs and then some. And if you can use the QR code, and it will take you to all of our programs that are identified as STEM. For instance, I came in almost 10 years ago with Advanced Manufacturing Technology. That is our partnership that we have with Toyota. The students that graduate go and work at Toyota. It was a working scholarship. They worked for 3 days a week and came to school 2 days a week. And they were, after completing, they were mainly hired at Toyota. And so this is just a little dash of the programs that we have, particularly at St. Philip's College. And finally, I just want to talk about our upcoming events. MESA is back again, where last time I did middle school and high school. This year I'm doing everybody, elementary school, middle school, and high school. For elementary and middle school, it's 2 weeks, and for high school, it's 3 weeks. The last week is more of a college prep, preparing those that are having the idea of going to college. And Miss Cipher is coming back, but we also have an opportunity, because by popular demand, to also include a Mr. Cipher. So we're doing both this year. It's for elementary schools, 2nd grade to 5th grade. And those are the dates where they'll learn robotics, coding, and drones. I'm sorry. And if you want information and get a hold of me, you can use the QR code. It will take us to the website. I can put that in the, I was looking at the, I'm sorry, the chat. Put it in the chat for you, but it will give you my information for you to contact me, all the upcoming information. We have a flyer up there, information about the drones, and also other information about the classes that I teach, engineering classes. We also have 3D printers. Our 3D printers, because I worked in industry, I'm a PCB designer, printed circuit board designer. So I tend to have industry grade materials in my lab. So, and a laser glow forge that we just got that we're excited about. And we'll be incorporating into our curriculum in our summer programs. So do I have any questions?
Hi, Dr. Saint-Pierre. I see it in the chat. Tammy asks, how many students are accepted for Miss Cipher?
It is limited. I will say that 30 students. I'm aiming for 30. So I want to say that they're going to be in our, at MLK campus, and all of our math classes seats about 30 students. And so that's the capacity. That's a very good question. Any other questions?
I see one more question here. How do they register and what age for Miss Cipher?
I will, if you will allow me to stop sharing for just a little bit. And I already have that information. I just have to go through to it. So this is our website for the Center of Excellence. I'm going to put it in the chat. And this is for the summer programs. We are not registering right now, but this says, we just found out that it still says middle school. The application says elementary and middle. And the ages are, for Miss Cipher, they have to be going into second grade. So I've completed first grade, going into second grade. So 7 to 5th grade. I think that's 10. And if you click on the contact us, you will see all of that information I was talking about the drones and the programming. These are the students I teach. That's the cube. Someone's actually holding the cube. That's part of my class. That's their touchstone. You'll be able to see it if you click on Connect with Us. The 3D printing. This is students printing in our classroom. It's a little bit quick. Let me slow it down. Ah. It's still quick. It's still quick. I know. But this is this is how smooth just illustrates how smooth our printers are. This is in those that have 3D printers. This is in draft mode. That's how smooth it is. It's like butter. And so I can also put this in the chat. so you can have a look. And that schedule is available on for you to see. And the times. Okay. Again, thank you so much for having us. And it's a pleasure as always working with you. And I look forward to more.
Thank you so much, Dr. St. Hubert. I was delighted that you're able to be with us again. You've been such an incredible supporter.
Yes.
All things related to STEM education, and I really appreciate you being here with us. Thank you so much, friends. Dr. St. Hubert has, Dr. St. Hubert has put the link to some of the programs in the chat, and you'll also be receiving a copy of the slides which contain that information as well. Thank you so much, Dr. St. Hubert. You're awesome.
Oh, you're welcome.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. I'll pay you later.
You're so funny. Let's see here. Huh? Where did I go? Sorry. Here we are. Let me see if I can try this again with sharing the screen. I'm so sorry. It's because we're doing a live presentation that it's got me on my toes a little bit. So sorry. Just 1 second, friends. I apologize. There we go. Sorry about that. Just a little something to keep me on my toes. I'm sorry. Well, friends, I want to thank you so much for joining us. And I am delighted to introduce you to our friend and colleague, Mr. Rick Varner, the Scobie Education Center Director at the Scobie Education Center. Welcome, Rick. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for including me this evening. I have dropped into the chat the Scobie website. That's our general site, and also a flyer in there as a PDF about something I will talk about this evening, our Scobie Teachers Academy. I'm going to go ahead and share a screen. If you'll let me have that access. And okay, so this should bring us into the slides I have set up for you. There we go. There really are 4 major programs that we run at Scobie. Since 1961, we've had the Scobie Planetarium. It's had different names during that span, but for more than 60 years, there's been a planetarium in San Antonio. And in 2012, it became part of the Scobie Education Center, where we built the rest of the building around that historic structure. We added the observatory, the Scanlon Observatory, which is up on the 3rd floor, or the rooftop area, and the Challenger Learning Center. And some of you may be familiar with Challenger from when it was at the Brooks Air Base. And it of course moved to Scobie when we opened up. The more recent addition would be the Micronauts program, which is for children who are 4 years in the pre-K, upper end of pre-K to 3rd grade. And so that actually is kind of our new story, is that we've expanded to the John L. Santikos Micronauts Center. We had a naming grant from the Area Foundation, and as a part of the bond issue that was approved a few years back, we're in a soft opening of this center right now. It'll have its grand opening with the other buildings on campus on May 19th. And it is focused specifically at those upper pre-Ks through 3rd grade. And we convened a group of stakeholders from the area, teachers, professionals in different fields from the universities and different educational areas where early childhood was their primary focus. And they designed the basic principles of 12 interactive student stations that make up the spaceship, or the International Space Station, in that curved portion of the building there. So just like the Challenger Center for upper elementary, middle through high school, these young micronauts will go through a launch sequence They then go to the space station where they work on these 12 engaging centers. Here's a peek at some of them. We did have, for example, Water Wonders is a center that was designed with professionals from SAWS, along with UT and several of our teachers. The launch room you see there in the center. At the front of that is the big screen where they go through the launch simulation. And since we're talking about energy and Watchers, that particular station is one where the kids generate the energy to light the lights on either side of that structure. So they face each other and they pedal off, if you would, and generate power. And those are just 2 of the 12 stations that are in there. There's a tall hydroponic chamber where we'll be growing plants. And there's a center in there that deals with the eclipse and how eclipses happen, weather, biology, geology, geography. Again, 12 different centers that are very much focused on this particular age group. Because we're talking with teachers tonight, I want to focus also on the Scobie Education Center's Teacher Academy. This is something that we're offering in place of one of the student camps. It'll be the very last week of July, and it's a 4-day camp. Each of the 4 days will be thematically approached so that if you do the academy, you'll get training for micronauts if you're in that age group, or Challenger Center if you're in that age group. And you'll get all the pre-mission materials, which means that when you leave that program in July, you could contact our scheduler and actually get your classes on the schedule for the fall. Now, this is earlier than we've ever been able to offer that opportunity for teachers to get scheduled. One of the things that we are also working on is that we've got one sponsor in place now, and we've written a grant for a rather large sponsor to be added. And you'll see in this particular slide one of the SunSpotter instruments. The plan is to give every teacher that attends one of those SunSpotters, and to give them on one of the 4 days a whole suite of activities related to the eclipse. You actually see in my Zoom background an enlarged version of an annular eclipse. That's what the sun's going to look like on October 14th. And so we'll have a humongous event that I'll share a little more about here in a moment as well. But I want the teachers in this particular workshop and the other ones that we take part on between now and then to be very comfortable in working with eclipse. And if you're comfortable with the annular eclipse materials for October, then you'll really love what you're able to do when we have the total eclipse in San Antonio on April 8th of 2024. One of the other days on this academy will be an engineering design type of an activity. There'll be challenges or project-based learning where the teachers will be given a challenge with simple materials you can get in your classroom, and they'll work together in teams to overcome whatever those challenge constraints might be. And then a fourth opportunity, I'm one of the only people that NASA has permitted to do the professional development training to allow teachers to borrow the Apollo moon discs or the Antarctica meteorite discs. And so this may be the last summer that we get to offer that, as they're changing the protocols for how they're going to be doing that. But again, I'm the only one who's not paid by NASA to do that. And when I say paid by NASA, I mean as a contract. One thing that I can say is that I am the PI for a fairly small grant as a part of the community anchor teams for NASA. And when we wrote that particular grant, we wrote it specifically with the eclipses in mind. We have the image here shows you the solar glasses that we had marketed for Scobie. Those are ones we can actually sell. I have 6,000 of these branded differently as NASA partners. Well, actually, no, this is the NASA partner one. So I've got 6,000 of these that we'll be giving out during the annular eclipse day and the academy to teachers and to guests who come out for that big event. Again, this is Saturday, October 14th. And when we do this program at San Antonio College, we're hoping to turn it into a festival type of an event, something that'll take over the entire campus, basically. When we did the partial eclipse event that took place in 2017, we had between 3,000 and 4,000 people on campus, and that was a Monday. So we're expecting that this being a Saturday to have as many as 5,000 people there with us. And I'm open for any questions at this point. I shared mostly what I was looking at as far as our programs that would be offered for teachers. We do have camp programs. They are all pretty much full at this point. And so there's one program that will be offered this summer that's not registered yet, but it's one that will be, it's called the Scobie Girls STEM Summit. And it's for middle school through high school girls. And it's a one-day conference that'll take place on July 14th. All the girls who are in our Artemis Academy for Girls Camp are included in that, and we'll bring in an additional 75 girls to make a total of 100. So any questions or things that you'd like to learn more about? I'll go ahead and put my email address into the chat here, and you can email me directly, and I will, like I see that someone can't open that PDF, I'll go ahead and send information to you if you'd like.
Thank you so much, Rick. It's always a pleasure to work with you, and you have such amazing programs that you're offering the community. I know that I have had the pleasure of being able to co-present with my colleagues at the Alamo STEM Educator Ecosystem Conference. That was amazing. The entire event was just awesome, and I feel like every time we talk through our meetings and get-togethers, that there's always something new happening at Scobie Education Center. So thank you for sharing about that, and all of these wonderful free programs for teachers as well. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing with us.
I see a chat question that says, is there a cost for the July 14th program? The Girls STEM Summit program is free, just like the Artemis Academy. They are fully sponsored.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rick. And thank you, friends. Friends, if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat for us. We're so glad that we're joined by a wonderful big group of participants this evening. And I'm going to go ahead and drop the link to the post survey in the chat. If you can go ahead and click on that link, it'll bring you to another tab. So if you can fill that out, that helps us to get the information ready to prepare your certificate. So I want to say thank you so very much for allowing us to talk with you this evening, for sharing your time. We're always here to be a resource to you. I know Mr. Rick Varner, Dr. Michelle Marie St. Pedro, Ryan Beltran, everybody, Juan Garcia have all given us a lot of incredible information here. So we'll make sure to send that to you in the follow-up email that you'll be receiving this evening. If you are seeking continuing education in a certificate, please know that that'll take about a week. So we ask you to wait about a week, and you'll be receiving that in an email as a PDF. So please filling out the post survey. And thank you, friends. We appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and repost that link here in the chat. So you can click on that link. That'll open up the post survey. You only have to complete it once. And as soon as we have the recording available, we'll be glad to send that out to you as well. And please feel free to share that far and wide. To my awesome co-presenters, I cannot thank you enough, not only for presenting with me tonight, but for the incredible work that you do in the community. Amazing teacher friends and everyone who cares about the earth and making a difference, STEM education, everybody who's here tonight. I could not be more thankful to get to know all of you, get to work with you, and please know that we're here for you for whatever questions that you have. So if there aren't any further questions, I'll go ahead and, oh, thank you, I'm still recording. So I'll stop recording. And